We will now begin the transmission that has been titled The Forest Path, the Animal Path, and the Elemental Path. This will, right now, be a brief explanation of what these paths entail as a continuation and an expansion upon the journey of the cryptic, as Willa Hilla Crissing will take you through the meditation today to allow you to experience not only an enhancement of what she has given you with regard to your experience in the forest, but also taking you into the next level, the animal path, so you can enhance your communication and connection to the animals and journey from there in the fall to the elemental path to enhance your communication and connection to the nature spirits and elemental beings that exist on your planet alongside you. The idea to understand about this particular journey is how it is structured. It is in 3 phases, as we have just described, but each phase, the forest, animal, and elemental paths, have 3 basic steps. So you have 9 steps in all. Willa has given you the first step of the forest path when she described the idea of the meditation with your back to a tree facing a body of water and extending your senses into the underground root system and mycelial network to be able to start becoming more sensitive to the communication going on between all the trees and the fungal network. And there will be 2 more steps to this. But first, you'll be taken through, here in the spring, the animal path, its first step, and in the fall, the elemental path, its first step. And then Willa will wind back to the second step of the forest path, the animal path, the elemental path, and then wind back to the third step that will truly expand and enhance your ability to perceive the things that have been invisible to you up to this moment in each of those phases. So, this journey entails a commitment to walk this shamanistic path, this cryptic path, and all 9 of these steps entail the cryptic path, so that when you have accomplished those 9 steps, you then will be taken by Willa to the next level altogether, which is the nocturnal phase, and it too is also composed of 9 elements, as are all of the different major phases. But this is a journey that will give you the opportunity to really hone your senses to the things that have been invisible to most of your society for quite a long time. And as you go through each step and each level of each phase, you will begin to experience synchronistically more through your senses of the beings, the consciousnesses, the expressions of reality that exist all around you and have for thousands of years. Sometimes, obviously, people on your planet do slip into vibrational states that do allow them a glimpse into these realities. Otherwise, you wouldn't even have stories of nature spirits and animal communication. But the idea is this will not only enhance your ability to anchor and ground yourself in nature in a very powerful way, as always, it will enhance your ability also to raise your frequency to the specific levels that are necessary for open contact with extraterrestrial consciousness off your planet as well. So, this day, Willa will take you herself through the first step of the second phase of the animal path to allow you the opportunity to practice your communication with your animal family on Earth, and to proceed from there along this cryptic shamanistic path for the overall enhancement not only of yourself individually, but by putting out the vibration in your world that you undertake by doing this particular kind of journey that will give more people on your planet the opportunity, not that they have to choose it, but the opportunity to key into and tap into that particular vibration that can allow you to create a sustainable society in harmonic relationship with nature on all of its levels, so that you may move forward in your shifting of consciousness and navigate yourself more effortlessly, more easily, more joyfully through the different versions of parallel realities, different versions of Earth, to take yourself bit by bit and day by day to the version and through the versions that are more and more reflective of what you say you prefer to experience your reality and physicalness to be. So we thank you for joining us on this journey today. And as we said, Willow will join to conduct the meditation at the conclusion of this transmission. But for now, we are open and appreciative of your ability to interact with us and us with you, with your dialogue and your questions, if you wish. So now we will allow for a shift to occur so that we may facilitate the consciousness of Willa Hilla Chrissing to guide you through the next phase of the cryptic and shamanistic journey. So, one moment. All right then, we will say good day to all of you downline, our little chokies. We're referring to the idea of your artichoke, which has many layers that need to be pulled away in order to find the heart. Let us go on a journey now together for the idea that we have initiated with you of the cryptic experience for those that wish to go on the shamanistic journey and allow themselves to ground and connect more to what you call the natural world as your natural selves. Let me remind you first and foremost of the idea of the first phase of the forest path that we have explained to you as meditating for at least 15 of your minutes as you count time. With your back to a tree, connecting with your energy and facing a body of water, whether it be a stream or a babbling brook or a lake or a sea, doesn't matter. The idea being that you are connecting with your hand to the ground and allowing your energy and mentality to extend your consciousness below ground into the root system and the mycelial network that connects all the trees along which they share nutrients and energy and information with each other to become one organism, so that you can begin to bond with them in that way and start to really receive more clearly the communications along the forest path of all of the consciousness expressing itself as trees and flowers and streams and rocks and sky. All of the growing things of the earth itself, and connecting into Gaia in that way. But now we would like to introduce the first step in the next phase, which we call the animal path, this being the springtime of change, and in the fall coming up with the idea of the next change in your seasons, at that time introducing you to the elemental path. And as the Bashar has explained to some degree, the idea that there are 3 steps to each of the 3 phases for a completion total of 9 to allow you to go through the cryptic phase in that way, and then move on eventually to the nocturnal phase for those again who wish to follow this path and increase their sensitivity to the idea of higher frequency energies and those communications that exist all around every single one of you all the time that may now be invisible to you. So let us peel away some of the leaves of the artichokes that you are to find the heart by going into the idea of expanding your experience, not stopping your experience of doing the forest path in the way that we have described it to connect to that mycelial network, but continuing to enhance that for at least 15 minutes of your time, longer if you wish. But now going into the idea of the animal path. So first and foremost, we would allow you to become very relaxed in whatever way you find comfortable for you and your consciousness at this time. And allow yourself to drift and dream with whatever lights and sounds you wish to play. It's up to you. And to begin to allow yourself to open up to the animal path of the cryptic journey and the shamanistic experience in the following way. Allow your imagination to to go this way now. As we describe, you can allow yourself and your imagination to go with the flow of what you are already familiar with. In other words, if you already identify with a particular kind of animal, be they the idea of cats or be the idea of dogs that you have around you constantly and commonly, that is all right. But at the moment, we would also invite you to open up to the idea of different forms of animal consciousness in different environments around your planet, around the idea of Earth at the time in which you live, be it forest, be it jungle, be it sky, be it sea, be it the idea of inviting in or attracting yourself to the consciousness of the birds, the bees, the animals that might be called mammals, the animals that might be called insects, the animals that might be called reptiles, the fish, the dolphins, the whales, whatever it is you're most attracted to. But I would caution you this: don't necessarily choose the animal or gravitate to the animal just because you enjoy them. Allow this to be an experience of the animal truly coming to you, truly letting you know that they are there for you. And if it is something that you already have developed a strong bond with, be it the idea, as we say, of a cat or a dog, it's all right to use the animals you already consider to be family. But make sure the bond is strong. Make sure that the familiar sense is there, that they truly feel like part of your family at this time. Not just because you are enamored of them, not just because they are friendly and like to play, but truly because you consider them and feel them to be members of your family. So give yourself a moment to just use your imagination and open up to forest or jungle or sky or land or sea or savanna or plain or cold or warm. The desert or the forest doesn't matter. What matters now is that you allow yourself to feel, to stretch out your vibrational energy to connecting to the animal you feel most bonded with. Let it come to you, or you can travel to it. It doesn't matter in that way. Allow yourself simply to feel that familial bond of love. These animals that come to you or that you go to or that you have chosen here in your imagination, you must be willing to truly hold them in your heart. Truly hold them in your arms if at all possible. Truly find them to be a connection of love and light. Truly feel that you are in communion with them. Truly feel that they live with you in your family. Truly feel that they are a part of you and you a part of them, that you truly love them deeply, deeply held in that sense. Allow yourself a moment to feel this way and see what animals come up to you. Sometimes one animal may approach and it may leave. You may test it out and you may find it is not exactly the bond you're looking for, and that's fine. It doesn't matter in that sense. But allow yourself to go through this exercise of opening your imagination and opening up your heart to the animal path, and let the animal show you by the feeling that you have of familiarity and love and a family bond with them, that you could truly feel yourself holding them in your hands, loving them, putting your forehead to theirs if they have one, allowing themselves to truly physically interact, connect with you in that way, and be a loving source for you as you are a loving source for them, a reflection as they are a reflection for you. Allow yourself to do this and take the time necessary to really find which one works for you. I already know that for myself, it is the gravitation to the fox in many forms that is mine. And it isn't even about the idea necessarily of being the same animal that you might consider to be your own animal totem in life. That can be different. It can be the same, but it can be different. So allow yourself to really feel it deeply, the connection that you are family, you are in love with this animal, as I am in love with the fox, as the fox is part of my family, as the fox is the family to which I belong. That it goes in both directions in that way, that you really feel that connection, that strength from heart to heart and mind to mind, eye to eye, face to face, with this beautiful, loving animal consciousness. Give yourself the time to explore this until you find that one settles in and one fills your heart and fills you with love and fills you with joy and expands your consciousness to see differently, to see the world differently through its eyes, to begin to truly identify in many ways as that animal, as the animal identifies as you, to truly share, immerse yourselves in the vibrational state and bubble of each other. That is, each of your realities becoming one, sharing that overlap, to truly create a third identity with you as animal and animal as you, to allow yourself to truly the time to experience these things in love and joy and relaxation, and to drift with each other and dream with each other until it becomes a kind of a blur, so you cannot tell yourselves apart by looking through each other's eyes and being in love with one another truly deeply. And allow yourself that time to drift and harmonize and feel that love and that joy with each other. This is the second part of the cryptic journey, and this is just the beginning. For again, as has been explained, as you go through every part, it is just the first part of each of the three phases of the cryptic journey, and we will come back around again and again to take you to the next level of the forest path and the animal path and the elemental path, so that you can complete the circuitry of the 9 in each of the stages, the overall stages, the first being the cryptic that grounds you and connects you to nature, to Gaia, as your expression of Gaia, so that you can make sure you are anchored to the earth as you then continue on to explore other dimensional realms in the nocturnal and the shapeshifter and the sage and the wraith levels, as you will want to be do if you have a mind to, as you have a gravitation to, as you have an attraction to. For not everyone necessarily has to go through the entire set. You can allow yourself to stop at being the cryptic. You can stop at being the nocturnal. Whatever it is that feels correct to you, you can do. For the path, the full path, is not for everyone, nor does it need to be. But we take you on this journey with us this time, so that you become into the lodge of the brotherhood and the sisterhood of whatever it is you wish to be, of the spirithood that is you, into this lodge that we offer you this invitation for, to follow the cryptic path in whatever way, shape, or form you so desire or not. 'Tis up to you, and we welcome you with open arms and open heart and open mind into the lodge that we share on the journey of the cryptic and the journey of the shaman, the journey of the spirit and the journey of the soul in this particular way, in this particular timing. Allow yourselves to be immersed in this whenever you so desire. Don't forget to allow yourselves the forest path too, of constantly going into the idea of the woods and sitting with your back to the tree and facing the water and deepening your sense of consciousness into the mycelial root system. And then also following this idea of the animal path and allowing yourself to drift and dream as you strengthen the bond of love and family between you and the animal that shows up for you in this way. So that will be the second part that you can practice, 1 and 2 in that way, and we will then bring you the third part of the elemental path in its first step in the fall, which is the appropriate timing to get in touch with the elementals, as you know, because that's truly, in a sense, what Halloween is all about. So now enjoy and revel and celebrate the spring with the animal path by going more deeply into nature on the cryptic path, the shaman path, the spirit path of the lodge that we invite you to belong to on this journey with us. Our unconditional love to you, my dear little artichokes, as you peel away those leaves and find the core and find the heart of your being that is so delicious. For every single one of you is beautiful in that way. We thank you, and we now turn you back to the Bashar, and we will see you again. For we will now be more upline, and you will be now downline, but we will be closer to each other through this particular journey, through this particular exercise, and we will become more in love with each other, more bonded as family with each other in this way, and more part of the same lodge, more part of the same humanhood and hybridhood and spirithood. Our love to you all. Blessings and good day. And give us a moment. All right, now as you allow yourself to absorb the information that Willa has given you and to apply it in your lives, in whatever way, shape, or form your imagination so desires and your higher mind guides you, allow yourself to know that you have been given this gift to look more deeply within yourself, to discover more aspects of your being and your consciousness, and to live in more joy, and in more love, and in more light, and more beauty. The beauty that unfolds from the center of your being, the spark of light that is the reflection of all that is within you. Our unconditional love and deep appreciation to you all for allowing us with you to co-create this experience this day of your time. Until we meet again, welcome home. Welcome home. Welcome home. Aveo. And to you, good day.
I just want to take a brief moment to say thank you so much for all the information you and Daryl bring through. My life has become absolutely magical as a result of following the formula.
Yes, well, thank you for choosing to do that and creating the magic in your life.
And on the topic of magic, my first question relates to a series of experiences that my husband and I have been having.
Yes.
We've been synchronistically guided to the particular permission slip of doing some shamanic ceremonies.
Yes.
During one of these ceremonies, I started to notice something flying out of the corner of my eye, just a gray flying blur. And at first I was only seeing it out of the corner of my eye. And then during later ceremonies, it started flying in front of us and it started engaging our animals. And then we realized, oh, our animals can see this thing too.
Probably before you did.
Yes, I think so. I think so for sure. And it just looks like a flying blur. It's something that moves really, really fast.
Yes.
And throughout the ceremonies that we've done, we've had more and more contact with this being, to the point where one time my husband had fallen asleep and I saw it again out of the corner of my eye. I was able to follow it, and then suddenly it grazed both of my hands as it flew by. And it was so startling, and it was so warm to the touch. The temperature was very, very warm.
It's because it's on a higher frequency, and therefore it activated more molecular action in your hands.
Right, and when that happened, I almost couldn't believe that it touched me. And so, as if it could read my mind, it repeated the whole sequence again, grazed my hands again,
yes.
and again it was super warm.
It's attempting to instill within you the vibratory level that would allow you to synchronize with it so you can see it more clearly.
Right, yeah, that makes sense. And so, occasionally I've had some interesting telepathic impressions from this being.
Yes.
Once it said something like, I play with the animals all the time. Feel free to join us if you can be in the moment. And this message came with a feeling of mischievous giggle.
Yes, well, you're dealing with an elemental. This is part of the idea of the third phase that we mentioned, having to do with the idea of the cryptic and shamanic journey. You are interacting with an elemental consciousness that is attempting to help you understand what frequency you need to rise to in order to match its frequency in order to be able to perceive it more clearly.
That makes sense. And when you say elemental, is there anything more you can give me about that? Like, is it a fairy? Does it have a name?
It can express itself in a number of different ways. For now, we have to leave it at the process and the experience you are having before we do anything to crystallize or concretize this idea into something a little bit less frequency than what it's already giving you. In other words, we don't want to create a definition or a symbol for you that would actually stop you from exploring the higher frequency.
Okay, that makes sense. And I'm getting this feeling that this being wants me to communicate to other people that they are around us, that they are around
Yes.
most, that they're
Yes.
just waiting to make contact, that they want
Well, they're not waiting, but the idea is that they understand that it can be done and that this is the time when your awareness that it can be done can be enhanced, which is why, in a sense, we're now at the timing where more of the cryptic meditational exercises can be given. Again, it's about perfect timing. So what you're experiencing is your awareness of the timing of why at this particular moment it is the perfect timing to allow people to enhance their ability by going further into the cryptic meditations.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That makes
I know.
sense. And the animals are always seeing them, right?
Pretty much. Not always, but pretty much, yes.
So when I'm hanging out with my cat and my cat suddenly looks above my head and follows something with their eyes, is that the same thing?
Well, they're seeing something that is on a higher frequency plane. It isn't necessarily all the time what you're dealing with in this conversation. But they may be seeing something else that is invisible to your senses, yes.
Okay. Well, I'm really interested in this elemental thing, so I think I'm gonna go explore that.
All right, then do so and have fun.
Thank you very much. Ha'atu.
Ha'atu and Aveo.
Aveo.
And good day to you.
Good day to you, sir.
Oh, sir, we are being formal today.
Don't worry.
Thank you, sir.
I have a question about intuition in communication.
Yes, speak up, please.
No problem. Is the action of intuition a communication that is happening with something of our higher selves, or is it something that's beyond us, like, say, a creator or a guide? In that process,
Well, it can be other things, but it always comes through your own higher mind, so that your higher mind can deliver it to your physical mind in some way, shape, or form that allows you to experience the harmony between your physical and higher mind. So it can come from a spirit guide, it can come from other sources, but it will always pass through what's relevant for you in terms of the higher mind.
okay. So the second part I have with the question is, there's an object that I've just come across that helps translate plants, and it's a box that allows it to go through musical notes.
All right.
And there's a musician who is playing with plants,
Yes.
and so in that process, it's translating the music, and it sounded like jazz,
Yes.
what the notes were creating. So is this a way for us to be able to use more in the future?
Yes.
And in that, same thing with musical instruments. As a musician, when I play, I can pick up a different instrument from different people. Am I more so connecting with the actual instrument's intelligence, or a higher being that's maybe in the instrument that was created, or an imprint of some?
Why is it always or? Why not and?
Well, that's the key question is, when I'm communicating with the instrument,
Yes.
is it more of myself that's processing through the instrument, or am I connecting with something that's within the instrument itself?
Again, why is the question an or question instead of an and one? Yes, to both.
Okay, so my next, yeah, thank you.
Yes.
So when that's happening, as the musician's playing,
Yes.
are we also communicating through our guides
Yes.
and the instrument, or the imprint of whatever the wood?
As you are playing an instrument, the instrument is playing you. Yes.
And then the song being created in that moment, is that something what we could call a harmonic resonance?
Yes.
So our connection is essentially, it wouldn't happen without the two of us, but is there a third part in there too?
Always.
And what is that third part?
It is the simulacrum expression that makes sense in your reality. It's the interpretation that makes sense to you in the focus that you are creating in your consciousness. The expression that is germane and relevant for the reality in the way that you're experiencing.
So essentially, the idea of a harmonic resonance is it's three parts.
Yes, you understand the idea of a Venn diagram in your reality?
A
Of
little
a
bit.
vesica piscis?
Can you describe
The two circles that overlap to form a third area that is common to both of them.
That makes perfect sense. Yes.
That's its own reality. That's its own archetypal consciousness. That's its own expression too. And this is what's happening even in the channeling. Because you're not speaking directly to the channel and you're not speaking directly to me. You're speaking to a third consciousness, a simulacrum, a simulation that is germane for the translation of our thoughts into something that you understand in your reality.
So, in a sense, the communication when you look at somebody and there's no words, but that feeling is that universal connection.
Yes, it's the reality you are co-creating with one another that you agree to communicate through as a third reality that is common to both of you because each of you are creating your version of it in your own unique reality.
Thank you. That clarifies a lot of what I've been coming to, my own intuition.
All right. Because if you were to interact directly with us, you would find us to be very different than what you're experiencing now. Not that there aren't some similarities to our consciousness or our personality, but by interacting with us directly, we would be something very different than what you're experiencing here. This is a third consciousness, a third personality, a third identity that makes sense in your reality.
Thank you.
Yes. Have fun.
That's all my questions.
All right, well, we thank you for the co-creation. Good day.
Thank you.
Hi Vishal, I'm Joe from Osaka, Japan. I'd like to ask you about veganism. So I became a vegan about 4 months ago, and it's been serving me pretty well. There are multiple reasons why I became a vegan, but ultimately it all comes down to this notion that you've talked about before, that people are expression of nature, not just isolated individuals within it. I think that living in harmony with other animals is crucial for us to go to the next level, if you will. So here are my questions. First one, what's your thought on veganism? Second one, is it have to do with people's consciousness? I'm currently trying to spread the idea of veganism throughout Japan, which became one of my passions. Thank you, Bashar. Bye.
Living in harmony with anything is essential for you to continue to raise your frequency. Veganism can be a result of living on a certain frequency level where you simply lose the urge to eat certain things that have to do with animal product. But it doesn't necessarily have to be that way for everyone right away. In other words, don't force yourself. Let it be your natural biological urges to come and go. If you are centered within yourself, you will know what you're attracted to consume. Sometimes a body on your planet at this time may need certain amounts of meat protein, although most of you don't need as much as you think. But the idea, of course, is how it's done, how the relationship is formed. In many indigenous societies that hunt, remember that they're doing it in a way, generally speaking, or at least they used to, that is more in harmony with nature in the sense of culling the animals that are not necessarily the strongest. So the idea is that the animal itself, in its state of being, is choosing to be of service as the human is choosing to be of service to the animals in that particular kind of a relationship of consuming the animals that may be lessening the strength of the entire group of animals to allow the entire group of humans to also become stronger. But again, as you raise your frequency, you may simply naturally find that you're no longer gravitating or have the urge to eat what might be referred to as denser matter, and you might go for the lighter. But still remember that vegetables also have a consciousness. So again, as you evolve, you may eventually come to the point where you simply absorb energy directly, as we do in our civilization, because we don't eat anymore at all. But the idea is, again, that that doesn't mean that we're more spiritual or that we're better than you are. We simply exist on a different vibrational level that doesn't require those kinds of activities, and the animal life on our planet is symbiotic. They're not predatory. So no animal is ever killed in an exchange of energy. But again, don't in any way, shape, or form negatively judge yourselves for the state that you're at, because that'll only hold you back. Simply allow there to be a natural biological rhythm of what needs to go on, and just do your best to make sure that any relationship you have with an animal is the most natural connection, organic expression that it can be, no matter what that relationship may be. So that's how you evolve, is by letting what is be done in a more natural way and simply letting it change in its own natural timing.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I'm so excited to be able to speak with you again.
We are excited as well.
So my first question has two parts to it.
Yes.
Have you observed other civilizations on other planets going through their awakening? And part of that process includes those beings realizing and waking up to the fact that their leaders don't have their best interest in mind. And lastly, how does the Interstellar Alliance assist with those beings who are wanting to wake up and break free?
All right. First and foremost, yes, we are interacting with other civilizations who are going through their own awakenings. There are a few, relatively few, that are in a position of their awakening where they are experiencing the idea of oppression or control in the way that you're experiencing it on Earth. We find that that's relatively uncommon, at least in our experience with other civilization. So the idea of their awakening doesn't necessarily involve some of the same techniques or approaches that are utilized with regard to our relationship to your world and the few other ones we have seen that might be somewhat similar to what you're going through in the way you're going through it in terms of your awakening. The Interstellar Alliance, just like some of the enhancing bodies in our own planetary civilization, simply work to enhance, expand, magnify, and amplify the idea of stability, of peace, and in magnifying and amplifying this synchronistically, it radiates a vibration out through the galaxy that allows people another option to tap into. And we remind them that they can. We remind them that that vibration is there for them. This is one of the things we are doing by sharing information with all of you, so that if you tap into it and harmonize with that vibration, that organizational synchronistic vibration that allows our society to operate on pure synchronism all the time, then you will start experiencing yourself, navigating yourself through different parallel versions of Earth that become more and more and more and more reflective of that particular vibrational experience. The idea of quote-unquote breaking free is not exactly the definition to use, because it implies that you are somehow not capable of shifting in the way that you prefer to, that somebody can actually control you, that you are assuming you're in the same reality just because you can see them. So we would suggest you don't operate from that particular point of view, because that's, in a sense, what gives oppressors their power, or seems to, or at least creates the illusion that they have more power than they actually do, is to simply convince you that they can control you, that they can determine what reality you experience when they can't. So the idea is to start from a definition that says, just because I can see you, just because you are doing things that I don't prefer, doesn't mean I'm in the same reality. It's like there's a glass wall between you.
Okay.
Does that help?
It helps tremendously. Thank you. So just to add some more clarity, on those planets, in those civilizations, are there examples where other ET beings who are negative are, kind of try to come in and take advantage and oppress those beings who either A, have no clue that that's happening, or B, they don't know what to do? So I guess my question is, does the Interstellar Alliance assist in that way on that level?
To some degree, but what you're describing is exceedingly rare.
Exceedingly, okay.
Rare. In other words, it is rare that when beings have the capability of traveling to other planets with other civilizations, they will usually already have surpassed any need to oppress others in another star system, because they will have understood that the only way they can actually get there is to have a completely different understanding of their relationship to existence. And there would be no need to oppress anything because there is more than enough for everyone. So the idea of control in an oppressive sense usually vanishes in most civilizations with the understanding of actually how to travel to the stars, because you start really experiencing the abundance of existence. And when you can acquire anything you need without hurting anyone else or yourself in order to acquire it, why would you spend the effort to try and control something when that would be a waste of time?
Right, okay. You've also spoken about in previous transmission this time that we're going through right now. We are transitioning into our golden era that we're supposed to be experiencing in this decade. And you had mentioned that our old systems would be crumbling, however...
They are crumbling.
They are, it's lovely. And so the new systems are waiting in the wings, ready to come on up and just replace the old ones that are...
No. That's a very old-fashioned way of looking at it. They're not waiting in the wings. The idea of new systems must be created actively by people in the here and now. They're not waiting in the wings. Yes, there are some things that have been done that can be revived and applied, so to speak, but it's not the idea that they're just waiting in the wings. It requires the activity of people moving in those directions and taking those actions for those new systems to be applied and implemented.
Correct. So would examples of those new systems here on Earth be like Starlink, cryptocurrency, and Elon Musk? Would those be examples of?
Some aspects of those things, yes. Other aspects of them, not necessarily. Or some of them may be temporary as links and bridges to get you to something else.
Okay. But we're definitely transitioning and moving into that golden era.
Well, some of you are and some of you aren't.
Okay.
Because again, everyone has the free will to choose, and some people will choose some things that won't necessarily take them in that direction, because you cannot experience what you're not the vibration of. So, and again, remember, you don't change the world you're on. You're shifting yourself to other versions of Earth that are already reflective, that already exist, that are more reflective of the change you've made within yourself. So it doesn't really matter whether everyone on your planet chooses the same thing. You will experience as if some of them have by shifting to another world, another version of Earth, where there are already versions of them that are more in harmony with that version of Earth. It's not that the people you experienced before have necessarily changed. It's that there are other versions of them that are more like the world you're inhabiting.
Thank you, Bashar. I really appreciate this interaction and my unconditional love for you.
As do we.
Thank
To
you.
you. Good day.
Good day.
Bashar,